Greetings and welcome to today's session. Today I come with the scoring guide, call it marking guide, to our second assessment of Senior 4 Chemistry Paper 1, 2025. Yeah, this is 2025 and we need more A's, especially to our candidates of 2025. This year, we need more A's. So a number of these scoring guides and sets of these assessments are coming up, and the intention of all this is to help our learners master the concept of answering approach, but also getting the different skills on how different items are assessed. So our presenter and our guide is Isaac Nyirimbibi, who will be taking us through into this assessment of Senior 4. Let's dive into the paper. So in this paper, we see it is a standard paper which is taking 2 hours. 2 hours, and these are the instructions to the candidate. Instruction to candidate. It has 6 examination items. Section A, 2 compulsory items, while Section B has 2 parts, 1 and 2, and answer 1 item from each part. So each learner is supposed to do 1 item from each part of Section B. And so which means in total we have 4 items to be answered in the whole of this paper. But since we are looking at our scoring guide to this paper, we shall be doing all numbers, all the 6 numbers, 2 in Section A and all the 4 numbers of Section B. Let's go direct to Section A. If you're a learner and you joined us, please don't forget to keep on pausing, read the question, and then first try by your own. Try it out, and then after that you continue, and you can be in position to score yourself whether you have passed the number or not. So in Section A, answer both items from this section in the spaces provided. Let's go through the scenario. Item number 1. We know we have the elements of construct, but for this paper specifically, we are getting the item not in this element of construct. Not from this element of construct. Instead, we are getting from the third element of construct, which we say the diversity and interaction of substances and their substances. So specifically for this assessment, I want our candidates to get used to these items of number 2, Section A, and in this paper specifically, all the 2 items, number 1 and number 2 for Section A, they're all coming from this element of construct. And when you look at this element of construct, talking about diversity and interactions of substances and their importances, it's where you have elements, compound and mixtures, periodic table, trends in periodic table, structure and bonding, formulae, stoichiometry and mole concept, using materials, reactivity series, and more other topics, but those topics which are specifically looking at the diversity of and interaction of substances and their importance. Now, what did we say? What do we do when we are approaching items, scenario items in this element of construct? So this is what to do. Now, what to do? Number 1, we need to read the scenario, and then we identify one category of either it can be element, compounds, substances, or materials with reason, and then we give one example. In simple terms, we summarize that as CRE. We categorize the substance being mentioned, we give the reason, and then we give an example. Don't forget that in our assessment that we're looking at, this paper, all the items are under this element of construct. Number 3. Yeah. So that is number 1 thing. Then the second thing, outline at least 4 properties or characteristics or predictions of properties for the element, compound or substance or the material that you have mentioned where in number 1. Then give one use of element or compound and substances or material identified. Then finally, you give the impact of the substance identified and write the mitigation. We write also the mitigation. Mostly some people make a mistake and they forget to put the mitigation when they talk about the impact. So it's good for us to put the impact. Of course, we are looking at the negative impact and then the mitigation. So all our items in our paper, and this paper, item number 1 and number 2, they are coming from that element of construct. Yeah, you never wanted us to have very many questions. Why are you having this item here yet is for element of construct number 3 for item 2. So it is for us as senior 4 candidates to get used to answering approach of items in this section. Now let's go through the scenario. Saying one of the most important salts essential for human life is extracted from Lake Twe. This compound, commonly known as table salt or common salt, plays a pivotal role in daily life. However, many people in the community lack sufficient knowledge about the nature of this salt, how it is formed, and its importance to health and the economy. A concerned community member has approached you, recognizing your knowledge of chemistry, and is seeking guidance to better understand this valuable natural resource. So you can see in our support material, there is even the picture. And surely the picture we can see is our common salt. Common salt, the table salt, is what we call the sodium chloride. And now, from this, the substance they're talking about, so one thing we need to identify, what is the problem? And then what substance are they talking about? So this time round, they're talking about sodium chloride. And what is the problem anyway? People in the community lack sufficient knowledge about the nature of this salt. So they have contacted you. Let's look at the question that they want us to talk about. Task number 1. Take him through the category of this chemical compound. You see? So the first thing, we are looking at the category. Don't forget we said when you're looking at the category, we categorize the substance, we give the reason, and we give the example. So we are going to do that in this case. Okay, let's see how we can attempt that. So our substance we're talking about is the sodium chloride. So you can say the chemical compound is an ionic compound. Very good. That is the one, the category. It is a chemical compound due to the fact that a metal donates an electron to a non-metal, forming positively charged ions held together by electrostatic forces. For example, the sodium chloride. So in this case, why are we calling it an ionic compound? Because it involves transfer of electrons. It involves donating electrons. And an example we're giving is the sodium chloride. It's the one we are talking about in the scenario. So here we have been able to categorize. We have given the reason and we have given the example. Number 2, take him through on the suitability of the chemical compound. Now, we said when we talk about suitability, they want us to talk about the properties. What properties does this substance have that make it suitable to perform its function? You have seen that we are saying that this substance is essential. It is essential for human life. And now people want to know what is it that it has. So we want to look at the properties of sodium chloride that make it suitable to perform its work. And that is what they are meaning here when they say suitability of the chemical compound. Now let's go through. We said when we talk about suitability, we give at least 4 properties of that substance that make it good to perform its work. So here we're saying that table salt is highly suitable compound for human use and storage because it is readily soluble. That is the first property. It is readily soluble in water, allowing it to be easily absorbed and used by human body. Then number 2, it is non-toxic when consumed in appropriate amounts, and it has a stable crystalline structure that makes it durable and easy to store or transport. Furthermore, it is chemically what? Stable. It is chemically stable and does not spoil easily, making it ideal for long-term storage and food preservation. So there you get all your 3 scores. You get all your scores. What you're saying, maximize. Make sure that you maximize all the scores. Put all the 4 or even more. What we're saying is to make sure that we have at least 4 properties. Don't reach and then you summarize and report 2. Instead, let them be 4 properties that we are putting there. Then, see, they're saying how the compound, take him through how the compound is beneficial to the people in the community. Which compound are you talking about? The common salt. Now here we need only 1 point, but because we are doing this marking guide, we are doing the discussions, then we can have more than 1 point. So let's look at the first point. Here the one has talked about importance of sodium chloride. Number 1, to the community, table salt offers significant benefits. Like what? It is essential for human health, particularly in maintaining the body's electrolyte balance and supporting the nerve and muscle function. Economically, it provides income and employment opportunities to those involved in its extraction, processing, and sale. Then we have, it is also widely used in preserving, that is another function, in preserving food, especially in rural areas with limited access to refrigeration. So you can see here we have given 4 points, but you said you can have only 1 point for the benefits. Now, part B is saying, does the compound have any effect on the environment? Guide him. So here they have not asked you directly, write the impacts. No, they're saying, does the compound have any negative effect on the environment? Then they say, guide him. So here they want us to talk about the impacts of this chemical compound, the one we are talking about as sodium chloride. So we're saying excess extraction and poor waste handling can lead to soil salination, which reduces land fertility. But I think that this is the effect, the danger, and then it brings the effect. Now let's continue. And water pollution, all these are effects. What comes out, it reduces land fertility, it brings about water pollution, and which harms the aquatic ecosystem. Before you can choose one. Now, to address this, there should be controlled extraction practices, that is the mitigation. But of course, this is revision. We can have, another person can say, we can address this through proper waste management. Another person can say, we can avoid that through reforestation efforts around the salt mining areas to restore ecological balance. So all those are points that we can have on this, but you don't need to put all of them. Choose one, and then you make only 1 paragraph. 1 paragraph talking about the danger. So this is the danger. This one is talking about the effect, that is the effect, and then we have the mitigation. So that is the mitigation, and you get all your scores. I believe in our next paper that I'm going to be releasing very soon, you'll be able to attempt items from this area very, very well. I want us to go to item number 2. Don't forget, this item is still from the same element of construct, the one I started with when we're looking at the answering approach. For those who have not yet subscribed, please go to that button for subscription. You click there and you subscribe. Also, don't forget to click on the notification button so that whatever we upload, you'll be the first person to see the notification and you're able to follow what is going on. And I always tell those people, whenever you find something very good, don't forget to like and comment, and you share with your friends so that you can always also have the benefit from what we are learning together. Let's look at this item. This item is saying, the scenario is saying, during a science fair project, Amina studied how two period 3 elements, which she labeled X and Y, reacted with water. She recorded her findings in the table below. Element X, observation. Element X floated on cold water and reacted very vigorously, producing bubbles of hydrogen gas and forming an alkaline solution. Element Y reacted gently with cold water to form an alkaline solution and hydrogen gas. When heated strongly in steam, it produced a white solid and hydrogen gas. Okay. Then they're saying, as a chemistry learner, give the category of elements X and Y. By the way, where do you think this question is coming from? From which area is this question coming from? So you can see these are period 3 elements reacting with water, and we can find this under trends in periodic table. Yeah, trends in periodic table. So you can find there this number and how period 3 elements react with water. Now, this girl is looking at 2 elements, X and Y, and all these elements are coming from period 3. Hope you have the periodic table. All period 3 elements, we can list them. We have sodium, magnesium, aluminium. From aluminium, you go to silicon. From silicon, you go to phosphorus. Now, as you move across, as you move in that order from sodium until when you reach on argon, which elements react in this manner? X floated on cold water, reacted very vigorously. Among period 3 elements, which one reacts very vigorously with cold water? Among period 3 elements, which one reacts gently with cold water, but when heated with steam, it produces the white solid? That is where we need to start from. So in a period 3 elements, we have these elements like sodium is in group 1. Magnesium is in group 2. So as we move from one element to another, they are moving from one group to another group. Very well, we know very well that elements of group 1 react vigorously with water compared to elements of group 2. Group 2 more compared to group 3. Group 3 more and moving in that order. And we find out that actually when we reach at group 3, some elements don't even react with what? With water. So in simple terms, when you come on the category of these elements X and Y, they want us to categorize which element is X and Y, give a reason why you're categorizing it as that, and then you give the example of such elements. So let's go direct. Now, don't forget, these are period 3 elements. When you're giving example, we don't expect you to give again examples of elements in period 2 or example of elements in period 1. Yet, specifically in our scenario, they are talking about period 3 elements. So that is something I wanted to emphasize. Now, a learner there, please pause at this point. First attempt, then after that, you come to the solution and you see how we have answered this. We are going to go through it very fast. So we are saying, of course, we give some details, but when you're answering, you can just categorize, give a reason, and the example. So we are saying that based on observation recorded, the elements labeled X and Y are both metals. I believe that is true, because metals are the ones from period 3. Metals are the ones which react in that manner. Non-metals, most of them don't react, apart from chlorine, which forms the 2 acids, hypochlorous acid and hydrochloric acid. Now, these are metals. That is number 1. But now we need to know which metal is it, X, which metal is Y. That's what we are looking for. So here we're saying that element X, which floats and reacts vigorously with cold water to produce hydrogen gas and an alkaline solution, is likely sodium, an alkali metal. So alkali metal is our category. Our sodium is our example. And then this is the reason. So you see the reason. So which means we have managed to put our CRE very well. Category, example, and the reason. And here we are having element Y. Element Y, for it reacts gently and produces a white solid in steam. A substance in period 3 that can do that is magnesium, which is an alkaline earth metal. Now, alkaline earth metal are group 2 elements. Group 1 elements are the ones which have this behavior with reacting when they're reacting with water. So that's how we could be able to categorize the elements X and Y. And that is part A, complete. Let's look at part B. Using Amina's observation, predict how other period 3 elements would likely react with water. So we have seen that how 2 elements react, the sodium and magnesium. Now let's talk about the remaining elements. Element, we're starting with aluminium. Saying that aluminium expected reaction does not react with cold water. That is number 1. Observe. It does not react with water, but reacts slowly with steam. So it forms a protective oxide layer, preventing further reaction. So here is our equation. Don't forget to balance your equation. Then our second element is silicon. And I'm saying that silicon does not react with water. Why? This is a metalloid with covalent bonding. It does not react with water. Phosphorus, it also has no reaction with water. It just reacts with oxygen instead. But with water, there is no reaction. Then sulfur also. Sulfur does not react directly with water, but forms acids with oxygen fast. I believe we shall be able to look at those trends in the periodic table in our next discussions as we're looking at that topic. Then chlorine reacts with water to form 2 acids, the hydrochloric acid and hypochlorous acid. And here is also the equation. Then finally, argon, it is an inert. This is a group 8 or group O element, and these ones, they are inert. They are very stable, so they don't take part in chemical reaction. So this one, there is no reaction with water at all. Finally, imagine Amina has invited you to speak to the science fair audience. Explain the safety concern she should consider when working with these elements and water. So here we want us to talk about the safety concerns. So which means we need to talk about the dangers which can come along when you're carrying out this experiment, and then we also talk about how she can mitigate that. So let's go through this very fast. Saying that when working with reactive elements like sodium and magnesium, safety precautions are crucial. These reactions can be violent. They can be violent, producing flammable hydrogen gas and releasing significant heat that can lead to burns. So, Amina should wear protective gear such as gloves, goggles, and a lab coat. So that can be enough. It can be violent, leading to what? Leading to burns. I didn't mark this. Leading to burns. So what should this person do? Should put on protective gears. We have given that some safety precautions that she can do. Other precautions, they are here. Number one was putting on protective gears. Number two, experiments should be conducted in a well ventilated area or under a fume hood. Someone was asking a fume hood. A fume hood is just a small area we put in the lab where we can burn these toxic substances, and so that the fume which comes from the burning of that substance goes through that maybe chimney and outlet in the fume hood. Then another one, preferably behind a safety screen to prevent injury from splashes or explosion. Another one is proper handling and minimal quantities should be used to reduce the risks of uncontrolled reaction. But of course, we are just giving more mitigations on how she should handle herself when working with these elements. So that was our item number 2. Don't forget, all these items have come from the same element of construct number 3. And the intention for this is to help our candidates get used to these items of number 2. Our next assessment, we shall have all the items, item 1 and 2, separate from the different elements of construct. Okay, let's go to section B. Now, when you go to section B, part 1, they're saying that answer one item from this part. Don't forget, in section B, part 1, I need to bring us the element of construct that talks about this. So section B, part 1 is here. It is having item 3 and item 4, and the learner is expected to choose only one. So it is from this element of construct that the learner appreciates the contribution of chemistry to our economy. And majorly, it is about industrial processes, small scale or on large scale. Now, when you talk about industrial processes, some people have taken industrial processes as that topic of senior 4 only, where it is called industrial process. That topic has a lot of industrial processes, but there are those that we have covered in other subjects, in other topics. For example, we have like ethanol. Ethanol, we don't cover it in industrial process in senior 4. It is covered in senior 3. We have biogas. We have oxygen and nitrogen in senior 1. In senior 1. So all the manufacture, anything about manufacture from senior 1 to senior 4, can be assessed under item 3, item 4, section B. You can see all of them are here. Now, what do we base on when we are assessing? Basis of assessment. We identify the raw materials. We read the scenario and understand which product do they want to produce, and then we identify the raw material. Then the process of production. And the process of production is where we include the vessels, the chemical processes, conversion to desired product, then coherency, then we have also the purification. Now, after the process of production, we also have the side effects. Now, side effects of what? We said it is side effects of the process, and we also include their mitigation. Then finally, we look at the social benefits. Still, we are looking at social benefits of the industrial process. Now, let's look at an item in our paper. An item in our paper here in section B. In section B, item number 3. So our work is to read this in the scenario very well and identify the product that they are manufacturing. Let's go through this scenario very fast. It says that a newly established sugar factory in Bujiri is currently discarding molasses. Molasses, a byproduct that could instead be used to produce ethanol. Ethanol is in high demand in the region, especially for making products like hand sanitizers, while some local residents are producing ethanol on a small scale. Their output does not meet the demand. So there are some people who are producing ethanol on a small scale, but their output is not very good. So in response to this problem, the government is considering setting up a larger ethanol production plant that would operate, that would operate with minimal environmental impact. This has sparked interest among community members who are keen to understand how ethanol could be made and the benefits such a plant might bring. So here in the picture, we are seeing some people who are doing from the village, who are doing the manufacture of this alcohol ethanol. And then here we can see a vehicle which is carrying the molasses. So one thing that we are seeing here, that in the problem, what they want us to manufacture is ethanol, but not ethanol from anything. Instead, it is ethanol from, because molasses come from what? They come from sugar cane. So which means we can now talk about millet here. Instead, we look at sugar cane. In line with sugar cane, molasses, converting molasses into alcohol. So, task. As a chemistry student, make a write-up you present to the community members. We have seen the challenge that community members have. They are worried about the plant, how it is going to benefit them and all that. So we are going to follow our basis of assessment that we have looked at in the other side, looking at number 1, what is the raw material that we need to produce this ethanol. Then the process of production. We look at the social, the side effects, and finally we look at the social benefits. So the raw material here we have raw material used. We have molasses. Already this one has been given to us from the scenario that they want to convert the molasses into ethanol. So molasses, and we are saying that this is a byproduct of sugar industry. Then another one, we have water. We have water, and then we have also yeast. Now the process of production. So when after talking about the raw materials, then we can go to the process of production. In the process of production, they're saying first point that molasses, starting from our raw material, that is number 1. So molasses contain, so this is our raw material. Molasses contain uncrystallized sugars. It is diluted with water, so there is dilution of molasses with water, and then mixed with yeast in a fermentation tank. Now this is the vessel, fermentation tank. We can see even this yeast is the raw material. So the raw materials are being mentioned in the process of production. We have molasses, we have yeast, we have water. And then we're also including here the mark for the fermentation tank, which is our vessel. Okay. Now, under aerobic conditions, enzymes in yeast catalyze the breakdown. They catalyze the breakdown of glucose into ethanol and carbon dioxide. Good. Then the mixture is kept in fermentation tanks at this temperature, 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, for several days. After fermentation, the mixture is distilled to separate ethanol from the unfermented material and water. So there is this physical process. The physical process where we are separating ethanol from the water and other materials. So the ethanol is collected by fractional distillation, since it has a lower boiling point of 78 degrees Celsius than water. So the final product, 95% ethanol, which can be further purified to absolute ethanol, is required. So at this stage, we can now pack our ethanol and be ready for use. So that is manufacture. We're looking at here manufacture of ethanol from molasses. Molasses, this is a byproduct of sugar cane. Why are we doing from the molasses? That is what the scenario required. So in this, you don't come and now start talking about manufacture of ethanol from millet, manufacture of ethanol from cassava flour, manufacture of ethanol from bananas, yet it has not been specified in the what? In the scenario. Now after the process of production, what did we say? We also talk about the side effects. Side effects and their mitigations of the production process. Let's go through them very fast. Now, the first side effect, we start with the danger. Danger is wastewater pollution. We talk about how this danger comes about. So the wastewater pollution, the saying it comes about by the leftover sludge and effluent from fermentation can pollute water bodies, leading to death. There's this. So the problem was what? What's wastewater pollution? Now, after looking at wastewater pollution, we're seeing what does it bring about. This was the danger. Now, after the danger, we're looking at its effect. After the effect, now we look at the mitigation. This can be mitigated by installing effluent treatment plants to purify wastewater before discharge. So this is our mitigation. So that is the mitigation. So you get all your scores. We need only 1 point, very well explained and mitigated. But for the case of our discussion today, we're going to look at other dangers, like air pollution from distillation fumes. You get a mark for the what? For the danger. Then explain how this comes about. So we're saying that volatile organic compounds may be released during distillation, which affects the quality of air, leading to respiratory diseases. What do we need to do? Proper ventilation system and activated carbon filters should be installed to minimize emission. So that becomes our mitigation. Another point, overuse of agricultural land for molasses production could reduce on food production. This can be mitigated by setting land use policies to maintain balance. Good. So that is 1 point, having the danger, its effect, and its mitigation. After that, we say that we need to talk about the social benefits of the production process. Note the social benefits of the what? Of the product. Instead, we're talking about social benefits of the production process. So number one, we're saying The first benefit is employment creation. Then explain how and why. So saying that the ethanol plant will create jobs for locals in operation, transport, and distribution. That is how. This increases household income and improves living standards. That is why. Saying that, you get the 3 marks. So we start with the benefit. That's the benefit, the how, you give the how, you talk about the how, and then the why. So the 3 scores. Now another point is promotion of health. Now talk about how. Ethanol is a key ingredient in hand sanitizers. With local production, hand hygiene can be improved. I think that. So it is an ingredient for hand sanitizer. That is the how. But through this, hand hygiene can be improved, especially in health centers and schools. So this is going to bring about improvement. That is the why. 3 marks. Now, another point is boost to local businesses. How? Sugarcane farmers will get better prices for cane and molasses. I think that improving on their income and encouraging agricultural productivity. And you get all your 3 scores. So here we need only 1 point, but for the case of our discussion, we have given more than 1 point. Let's go to item number 4. We said item number 4 is still in the same element of construct. We're looking at the importance of the chemical processes in our day-to-day life. And the answering approach remains the same. So our main emphasis here is to read the scenario, understand what the scenario wants, what is the problem, which product are they missing, do they want to produce, and then we start on that. Now, let's read very fast. Sodium hydroxide is widely used in many industries for producing wood pulp and paper, textiles, soaps, detergents, and as a drain cleaner. To ensure a steady and more affordable supply of sodium hydroxide, a manager of a textile factory is planning to establish a production plant. However, this plan has sparked concerns among local residents about potential environmental impacts and the risks of losing their valuable land to the investor. But before we move down, what is it, the problem? They're looking at here the sodium hydroxide, where they used, they're saying to ensure a steady and more affordable supply of sodium hydroxide. Manager of textile is planning to establish a production plant of what? Of sodium hydroxide. So what you're looking at is producing sodium what? Hydroxide. Let's move down. So here they are showing us a picture of an industry, probably the one which can be used, they want to set up, and an example of picture showing the sodium hydroxide being produced. Here they're saying that the science club in your school is also wondering how the production process of sodium hydroxide will be carried out. As a result, the chairperson of the club has appointed you to make a presentation to be published in one of the local newspapers. As a chemistry learner, prepare a brief message that you will use during the presentation. Our first thing is to identify the raw material. What is the raw material of making sodium hydroxide? Very good. So we are saying the raw material is concentrated. The day you forget the word concentrated, that's the day you forget your mark. So it is supposed to be concentrated sodium chloride solution, or simply calling it what? Brine. So others we can have like water and then the electricity. We also have the electricity. So those are the raw materials. From there we look at the process of production. I want us to go through this very fast. So we're saying that sodium hydroxide is produced by the electrolysis of brine using diaphragm cell. Are we there? Diaphragm cell, membrane cell, and matrix cell. Can produce this using the cell. Diaphragm cell, membrane cell, or matrix cell. So today we are going to use the process which describes the membrane cell. Please note this. We're saying that it can be produced by electrolysis in three using the different cells. Number one is diaphragm cell. Number two is membrane cell. Number three is the matrix cell. Now, today we are just focusing on the membrane cell. There's another video which I published, and I believe those who have not seen it, you can go back to the channel and then you check manufacture of sodium hydroxide and chlorine gas. Those two were we produced them at the same time, and the method. Now in that one I used diaphragm, the diaphragm cell. But for this time round, we are looking at membrane cell. What happens during the membrane cell? Brine is passed through electrolytic cell. Even brine, this is our raw material. Is a positive electrode anode and negative electrode cathode separated by a membrane. It is separated by membrane that allows sodium ions but not chloride ions to pass. Now at the anode. Anode is the positively charged, which means the negative ions will move towards the anode, while the positive ions will move towards the what? The cathode. So the negative ions move to the anode, and that's the chloride ions are discharged to form chlorine gas. At the cathode, we have the water molecules which are forming which is forming addition of electrons at the anode, and in this water molecule it is now forming the water of the hydrogen and then the hydroxide. And so here you got a mark, and even here you get a what? A mark. I believe these equations can get to tell us what. There's no need of writing very many words here, saying that at the anode, chloride ions move towards the anode and all that. Yet we can just say the chloride ions are moved towards the anode and they are discharged. From here we can see it has been summarized by the equation. Then the sodium ions move through the membrane to the cathode side and combine with hydroxide to form sodium hydroxide. Good. Now I believe we can see that we have gotten our sodium hydroxide. Now the hydrogen gas and chlorine gas are collected as byproducts. The sodium hydroxide is concentrated by evaporation. So at this stage we can be able to collect our product. Then method 2, that one was the membrane cell. Now let's look at the second method using the matrix cell. Now we are going to do faster so that we can complete this. So in second method, the raw material remains the what? The same. Now the process of production. So we're saying during the matrix cell, okay, the concentrated sodium chloride, which is brine, is fed in the cell as an electrolyte using graphite as anode and mercury as the cathode. At the cathode, both sodium and hydrogen ions migrate towards the cathode for discharge, but sodium ions is preferably discharged to hydrogen since it is very concentrated. Are we seeing that? Yes. So in this case, brine, we say that brine is concentrated sodium hydroxide, sodium chloride. Concentrated meaning it has very little water. So that's why we are having both hydrogen ions from water and sodium ions from sodium chloride. Now all these will come towards the cathode. Don't forget, cathode is negatively charged. And you know the force of attraction. Positive will attract the negative, and negative will attract the what? The positive. So the cathode is attracting the positive ions. So we're saying that sodium ions and hydrogen ions all move towards the what? The cathode. But sodium ions is preferentially discharged to hydrogen ions because they are very concentrated. Okay. Sodium ions undergo reaction by gain of electrons and get deposited at the Matchley cathode to form sodium Matchley amalgam, which is dissolved in water to form sodium hydroxide. And then this sodium hydroxide is purified, concentrated, and stored. Are we there? I believe there we are moving together. So we can have the equation showing the discharge of sodium ions and the final equation showing the production of sodium hydroxide. Then we don't forget, of course, side effects and their mitigation. The side effects during the production process of sodium hydroxide. So we're saying that chlorine gas released during the production, chlorine gas can be released. Now, during the production process, which is the chlorine gas release during the production process, which is poisonous and harmful to respiratory health. This is mitigated by sealing the electrolysis chambers. This is the mitigation. And safely collecting and storing chlorine for industrial use. So you can see we have all the three scores. There is the danger, its effects, and its mitigation. For the case of this revision, we have more points. Land use disputes. So large factories may displace communities where the plant is located, leading to loss of what? Property. This can be mitigated by conducting environmental impact assessment and ensuring fair compensations and relocation plans. This is another point. But we said, put only one point which you are very sure about. Choose any one. But for the case of this revision, we are giving you more than one. Energy consumption. Electrolysis consumes large amounts of electricity, contributing to carbon emissions. It can bring about carbon emissions. Now, mitigation, it involves using renewable energy sources like solar to power the plant instead of using these ones which can emit the carbon. Then we have the social benefits. Now, the social benefits of the production process. Number one, we have affordable supply of sodium hydroxide. Local production will produce importation costs and ensure steady supply of industries such as textile, soap making, and paper. Then we have the industrial development. We also have the training and skill development. The explanations, which I'll go through them. I believe we are now very good on that part. Let's look at our last part. Part 2 of section B. We are on section B, part 2. I want us to go through section B, part 2. Now, section B, part 2 is the element of construct number 4, which says the learner appreciates the existence of natural resources in the environment and their importance in daily life. So we are saying that majorly section B part 2 is about natural resources. Some of the natural resources we have air, we have water, rocks and minerals, fossil fuels, trees and vegetation. We have carbon-based fuels. But now, what are we saying? What to do? What do we do when we have a question under this area of section B part 2? Number one, read the scenario and from it categorize one example of natural resource. Categorize it with a reason and its components. So we have summarized this as CRE plus CP. Category, reason, example, and composition. Now, which means in this case, we need around 3 paragraphs. First paragraph, talking about all this. Second paragraph, describe one human activity. One human activity. Where do we get this human activity? From the scenario. The human activity that endangers the natural resource. The one you have identified above. Endanger natural resource, or the one that is affecting the environment. Give its impacts and then mitigate the impact. In the last paragraph, we talk about one benefit or importance of the natural resource, which is very well explained. Yeah, so that is it. Let's look at number 1. So our first thing is to read the scenario, identify the natural resource which is being affected, and then we identify the human activity that is being affected. Then we can begin responding. So let us read very fast. In Hima village, Kasese district, most people survive on charcoal burning. So we have some human activities like charcoal burning, animal husbandry, crop husbandry, stone quarrying, among others. Some have small mills to process rice, maize, millet, among others. Currently, the crops are drying up, animals are dying, and wells are drying up. Yet the little water that is available is also not fresh. These happenings have left many of the villagers wondering why. A sensitization workshop is to be organized to explain the existing situation in the village. The theme for workshop is become part of your environment. Okay. Now, task. As a learner of chemistry, prepare a message you will deliver during the meeting upon invitation. So one thing we need to do, read the scenario very well. Find out which natural resource is being affected. Which human activity is affecting this natural resource? And then you begin from there. Tack on your first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, and you get all your 11 scores. I will not reread the question. You'll go through it. If you want the question alone, you can always inbox me the numbers you can use on WhatsApp. All these numbers on WhatsApp, you can just inbox me on those numbers, and then I can share with you the question paper, and then you can go along as you're going through this guide. For you can be reading through the question on a side as you also look at the scoring guide. So there's an NB I first talked about here. In this scenario, we have different human activities. I mentioned them. When you look in the scenario, they are talking about a human activity like charcoal burning. They are talking about animal husbandry, crop husbandry, stone quarrying. Each of these human activities, there is a natural resource it is affecting, like charcoal burning. It is affecting air. It is affecting land. Animal husbandry is affecting land. Crop husbandry, the land, the water. Stone quarrying, air. It can affect air, it can affect land, it is affecting water. So depending on how you want to, what you need is you to identify the human activity and see which natural resource is it affecting. So some of the natural resource being affected, I listed some, but of course, each natural resource is being affected by a particular human activity, one or even more than one, like air. Charcoal burning can affect air, but also stone quarrying can affect air. We have water, land, soil, and rocks. But are we going to talk about all of them? No. Talk about one natural resource. Talk about one human resource, human activity. So each human activity can affect a given natural resource in its own way. Thus, here we are giving a response to one, but we can have a number of responses here, but in a similar format. So we are saying that the answer I'm giving you today is not the final one. You can have other responses depending on which human activity you have seen and which natural resource it is affecting. Let's go through these 3 paragraphs. I'll be showing you how you get all the scores. The first paragraph, we talk about the natural resource that is being affected. I selected water. That is example. It is a renewable natural resource because it can be replenished through natural processes such as rainfall and infiltration within human lifetime. So this is example, category, reason. But we say that don't stop there. We look at the composition. So they're saying the little water that is currently available in human village is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. So there we have talked about the composition, and it is vital for supporting plant, animal, and human life. That's the first paragraph, and you get all your 5 scores. Let's look at second paragraph. One of the main activities that has endangered this natural resource is charcoal burning. Now, we want to explain how charcoal burning is affecting the what? Is affecting the water. Are we there? Good. So when you mention the human activity, you already get your score. Now, explain how is it affecting our water. So we're saying that charcoal burning, which leads to deforestation. Now we are explaining how it leads to this and how it affects our water. When trees are cut down for charcoal, land loses its vegetation cover, resulting in reduced rainfall, increased soil erosion, and reduced infiltration of water into the ground. This causes wells. So these are the results of deforestation. This causes wells to dry up and water sources to become scarce or polluted with, are you seeing how the water sources get polluted? With soils and debris. The situation can be improved now. Here we are coming to mitigation. Can be improved by putting strict laws on charcoal burning. Another way, encouraging tree planting and promoting alternative energy sources such as biogas and solar power. So those are different mitigations we can put. But you can see this is, I normally call this point a pregnant point. It gives you all the 3 scores. You have identified the human activity, explain how this human activity affects impacts of the human activity, and the mitigation. So here you get 1 mark, here you get another mark, and here you get another mark. And those ones, they all add up to the 3 scores. Let's look at the last paragraph. This paragraph is talking about the importance of the natural resource. Which natural resource? The one you have mentioned right away from the first paragraph is the one we give the importance. So here it is water. So water is very important to the community because it supports domestic use, animal life, crop growth, and helps maintain local climate through water cycle, which includes processes like evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. So that is the importance. So we are giving importance and how it occurs, plus the reason, it is benefit, reason, how, and why. So the 3 marks we have to have the benefit, how, and why. Okay, let's look at the last number, item 6. We are going to go through it very fast, very short one. So it is saying modernization has attracted an increased demand for land for industrialization, human activities, are we seeing them, and settlement. Industrialization and settlement, which has led to destruction of natural resources. This attracted the attention from the National Environment and Management Authority. The officials are planning to create awareness to the people of the country through sensitization workshops organized in different district communities countrywide. As a chemistry student, prepare a short presentation that will be used. There's something missing here. It will be used. That will be used. That will be used during the workshop. Now, before you go any further, first look at the scenario. Identify the human activity. After looking at the human activity, look which natural resource is being affected by that natural resource. And then there you can begin. As I said, one scenario can have more than one responses. Like this scenario, it can have more than one response. Now, there are those scenarios where it is very specific. My next guide, which I'm bringing for the next assessment, it will be having those items which are very specific. They have the one human activity and they have the natural resource that is being affected, which is strictly that one. So we need to be very careful as we read the scenario so that we don't misinterpret, but also avoid cramming. Cramming will lead you to loss of marks. Okay. In this case, me identify the natural resource as land, because if you see here, the land is being affected through industrialization, settlement. So which human activity have I chosen in this case? The human activity is industrialization. I have talked about all of them. So let's go through it and we see. So land, which is our natural resource, is a non-renewable natural resource, because once it is degraded through overuse or destruction, it takes very long time. So this is the reason. Beyond even human life, it can take much time beyond even human life. So what I was saying, after looking at that, we look at the composition. The soil that makes up land consists of minerals like silicates, organic matter, nutrients that support plant growth and life in general. So you get all your scores. We said this one paragraph, it will give you around 5 marks. Those are 5 marks. Then you go to the second paragraph, which is talking about the human activity. So the human activity is saying the increased demand for land for industrialization and settlement is destroying natural resources through activities like deforestation. So this industrialization, which is the human activity, it is encouraging deforestation, wetland drainage, and soil excavation. Now, these activities reduce vegetation cover, leading to what? Soil erosion, loss of soil fertility, and disruption of ecosystem. So here we have talked about the human activity. Then here we're looking at its effects. At the end of it all, the effect of human activity is bringing about soil erosion, it is bringing about soil infertility and disruption of ecosystems. So they're saying that these impacts can be mitigated by promoting sustainable land use practices. This is the what? The mitigation. This is the mitigation. Now, there's this one which I put in the yellow. Now, in yellow, I'm saying that air and water pollution may also result from industrial emission and waste. Now, this can be another planner who is talking about air as the natural resource that is being affected by industrialization. Are you seeing that? Even water can be one of the natural resource. So one learner can talk about air as a natural resource in the first paragraph. Another learner can talk about water as a natural resource in the first paragraph. Another learner can talk about land, like the way I've talked about land. Are we together? If you have a question, please make sure you put it in the comment section and then we go through that. Now, after that, we look at the importance now of land. Land is important because it provides space for agriculture and supports ecosystem that is essential for clean what? Air, water, and climate regulations. And you get all your scores. So I want to thank you for being tuned up to this time. I always tell people that keep on enjoying the beauty of chemistry, because chemistry is everywhere. It's everywhere, starting from you as a person. You're made of a lot of carbon atoms. So therefore, chemistry is around you. So I'm saying, for those who need soft copies or PDF, just call. You want a PDF of this marking guide, you want any PDF of any paper that you want, maybe you want pre-mock assessments, you want any assessment item, just send on this number and we shall be able to help you. Otherwise, for those who have not yet subscribed, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Otherwise, job bless.